right, which brings us to item number 5, which
I'll introduce
Is,
item number 5, which is about Phoenix Center, and I just, Mr. Balint, who is our director, has announced that he's leaving the city to take another job, and I guess it's meetings like this that has drawn him away. He's been with the city for how many years, Mr. Balint?
No, you drove me away.
How many years, Mr. Balint?
don't entertain.
13 years. So he served the city well, but he is leaving. So I'm sorry for that. But at any rate, moving on to the Phoenix Center, we do have, I thought I was going to announce to you that you had added to the agenda to get the extension of the lease agreement by which Ottawa Towers had agreed to continue to do the maintenance for the Phoenix Center building. I see you did not add that onto the agenda. We'll have to put that on again because we do not have the staff in place. Mr. Balint had been negotiating with another company to do this, but it's important that we have someone in place to do this. The capacity of DPW to handle this is not something that Mr. Balint and Mr. Bringle were ready to take on. But I do caution you that we'll bring this back to you next week again. It is important that this is one of the terms of the settlement agreement that you signed, Council, back last November 2018. The danger of not applying to the settlement agreement terms is that at any point, the plaintiff, Ottawa Towers, can take us back to court. All right. So I just want you to remember that as this came to you today, please, we do need to extend this contract for maintenance and cleaning of the Phoenix Center. It's important that the city continue with its obligations. The other thing I wanted to address, and it's new news for the Phoenix Center, is that, as you know, we had the bids out for the architectural engineers to do the architectural design, and I do have a familiar person here, Vince DeLeonardis, our owner's rep and our project manager from ALC, and he was very pleased with this response, and I'm going to let him talk to you about that news.
Okay. Thank you, Council. On about November 15th, we put out an RFP for architectural services for the Phoenix Center, and the interest was very strong. We had been in contact with many firms, letting them know this RFP would be coming, and on the 2nd of December, we received 8 proposals for those services. So those proposals are now under review. They'll be reviewed with City Purchasing Department tomorrow, and then the plan is by Friday to shortlist the firms to come in for interviews the following week. And then that way, the week of the 9th, there could be interviews, and then the goal is towards December 12th to be able to provide recommendations to council for action. So that's just an update on what's happening with the Phoenix Center restoration project.
Okay, I got some questions for you. Does anybody on council have a question for Mr. DeLeonardis? My question is more, I guess, procedural in nature. There is a proceeding of the RFP for architectural service that you guys have been facilitating. The other RFPs that the council asked for, how are they proceeding and when are those dates?
Okay, those are being handled directly by the city.
Do you know the dates? Do you want me to get the dates?
Yeah, it's my understanding the RFP has been on the street and the proposals are due the 16th of December.
What did you say, Attorney Sharp? Okay. It's not on the agenda, though.
It
So-
is communication from the mayor?
No. No.
Okay. All right.
There's something you need from me?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. We're going to move on to item number...
Presentation, that completes the presentation. I just wanted to, as you mentioned the other RFPs, just there's a number of RFPs that go out.
We're going to
The
move...
one that we talked about and presenting today from Mr. Leonardis, we have bid upon those. We've had offers, but we still have to pay them, Council. I'm still reminding you that we have to find a way to finance these things. We're moving along and doing our job to keep with the timeline. But you remember, we have a deadline by November 1st of 2020, which Mr. DeLarnaz has told us that the council needs to move on.
Madam
So we'll
Madam
continue
Mayor,
to bring information about that.
when ARC was
Okay.
brought on, we came up with a contingency because right from the onset, we knew that we may not do the bonds as a city council. And so these other people that you're bringing on with these RFPs are in line with your bond proposal of that $19 million for the Silverdome the Phoenix Center restoration. And so I just want to be clear for the audience. And then you also mentioned that if the city council doesn't renew this agreement with Ottawa Towers, which you are going to bring back next week, that you knew that was expiring prior to Thanksgiving, I feel it very problematic that instead of having a special meeting to deal with that, we had a marijuana town hall instead. The priorities of letting something lapse that you say that is going back to court is the most dangerous thing.
Mr. Balint can explain that to you. That was his timing.
Listen, there's nothing to explain. You're over the administration. You gave a Phoenix Center report, and then you told us if we don't handle it next week, we're in danger of going back to court. If there's a danger of going back to court, then how? Newsletters, teletown halls, and other things were not used to tell us that this was expiring, and then you put out to the public that the city council is not doing this due diligence by not entertaining a last-minute contract.
So, good evening again. We had been working with Detroit Regional Convention Facility Authority that runs the Cobo Hall Garage. So we've been working with them and trying to get an as-needed contract with them to operate and maintain the garage for us, and even potentially raise revenue that could be brought back into the city, instead of, because as you may or may not know, anyone can park in that garage any time of day for nothing. It is open and anybody can park there. So we were working on doing that. Those negotiations kind of didn't fall apart, but we weren't able to complete them in the time that we were looking to. And so that is why we were looking to just extend the existing maintenance agreement with Ottawa Towers.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ballin. We're going to move on to item number 6, an ordinance to amend Chapter 18, Animals, to add Article 3, Dangerous Animals, first reading.
Good evening, Council.
Councilwoman Miller and then Mr. Chip.